You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey all, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 160, and my name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. Co-hosting with me as usual is John, who is Trade You at Recess on Instagram. But Hyung is away today, but he should be back for our next episode. All right, off the top, I want to talk about the recently released 2023 Bowman Chrome Baseball set. You know, I think I got to rip one. I just checked the prices. Here in Canada, it's $430 Canadian. Sounds a little bit pricey, so I might wait for it to drop down a little bit. Maybe when someone pulls what we're going to talk about, the one-of-one Babe Ruth Superfractor Retrofractor, right, maybe it'll come down after that. So we'll see. But like I just kind of alluded to, I wanted to talk about specifically that Retrofractor, which is described as it celebrates legendary players across 100 years of baseball who never received their first Bowman card. All right, so you're going to see guys like Babe Ruth. Obviously, he's a big chase. And speaking of Babe Ruth, the card everyone is hoping to pull is that Retrofractor Superfractor, right, one of one. And not surprisingly, David Adams has issued another bounty. This time it's $200,000 for that Babe Ruth card. So John, general thoughts on the Retrofractor. Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's gimmicky?
So help me understand. The Retrofractor is numbered out of 50?
I think there's different parallels.
Okay. And is there a base version of Babe Ruth's first? Or does it just start from a pretty low serial number?
That's a good question. I would assume there's a base, but or at the very least, it starts with a refractor, like your basic refractor.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand the hype, if we're being honest. You know, when they originally announced the Babe Ruth, I was like, oh, kind of cool. When they announced Tom Brady, right? I thought that was going to be cool because obviously we have to assume there's going to be an auto that comes with the Tom Brady first, right? So I think that was cool. Babe Ruth, obviously, for very obvious reasons, you can't get an auto. So it's just the card. I don't know. It's like getting Magic Johnson in Prism. Like, I don't understand why it's amazing. Now, with that being said, because of the bounty, it is amazing, right? Just because of the bounty. Outside of that, I don't understand any other hype. And perhaps if there wasn't a bounty, there wouldn't be as much hype. And then a side note, I don't get where is David Adams, right?
Yep.
I don't get where they're getting the money for this. It doesn't make sense. What have they been doing with these cards that they pay hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in bounties? I just feel like in the back end, Fanatics there's a big marketing thing that's happening because I just don't understand where the resources come from.
I mean, they're a big business. I'm sure they make millions in revenue they do breaks, you know, and
right.
And you know, they have access to a lot of product. You know, they're legit store. I was there just this past summer when I went by Buffalo. It's a huge store.
Right.
And yeah, they just have tons of inventory. You can get whatever you want there. So yeah, you know, I don't, it's not surprising to me that they have that much money. Maybe it's surprising to me that this is what they're offering for some of these cards. Like I was thinking that actually, like they could have just said, we'll give you $100,000. That sounds like a good bounty. They had to say 200,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Save that extra 100,000 for another bounty. Come on, that's you know.
So either they're super money bags and they just don't care about money, but they're clearly a business and a pretty good business. So it would make business sense if the bounty that they're purchasing, that amount, leads to something for them, right? So it doesn't make sense to just throw bounties like that for the sake of, I don't know, is it their personal collection? Anyways.
That's true. I have no idea.
Gonna fall down a deep hole, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of agree with your assessment too. Like, I don't see the big deal in it. You know, if I ever pulled one, you know, and it's a colored refractor, like let's say it's an orange to 25, like I would try to sell that immediately.
Oh, 100%.
While the hype is like,
100%.
well, the hype is there. So yeah, and there is one autograph, the Johnny Bench Retrofractor. That's kind of cool because he's obviously still alive,
right?
And, to get a first Bowman of a vintage guy that's still alive who can sign it.
I like that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I think that the autograph has to be attached. So maybe perhaps Babe Ruth was a little bit too much of a reach, but if they can still get autographs, I mean, All
right. I thought that was a kind of a cool thing in the hobby this week, and we'll see by the time we air this episode whether the Superfractor will be pulled. So that'll be interesting to watch. Okay, let's move on to our next segment we call Hobby Headlines. And as usual, when Hyung's not in, I'd like to always take the opportunity to talk hockey and hockey cards. And, with the start of the 2023-24 season, which is just under a month away now, I thought I'd ask you, John, our resident hockey guy, to get your thoughts about some of the players that I found, personally, could be interesting targets this season for various reasons. All right?
Yep.
So I'll go through the list, and I also have values of some of their Future Watch autograph cards, which we know is numbered to $9.99. You and I are both big fans of Future Watch autos.
Yep.
So maybe you can say this sounds pretty expensive, or might be a good deal, good target for the season. All right. So let's start off with Jason Robertson. He's a guy that's kind of piqued my interest because, last year it was kind of his coming out party.
Yep.
And if you look on fantasy drafts for NHL, he's up there. Like, a lot of people are confident that he could repeat what he did last year. So his Future Watch Auto PSA 10 sold last month for $1,030. So what do you think about Jason Robertson and the value of that card?
So Jason Robinson, because they were so behind in Future Watch, he was actually one of the hype targets not too long ago. I think he can repeat. He has that talent. He looked like his confidence was sky high, developing into everything that Dallas wanted him to develop into. I think he can. And to be honest, from where that card used to be, and now that it's down to 1,000, I don't think it's that bad, for other targets. But there's other certain Future Watches I think around $1,000 that you can target to, but it's not bad. I'm a little weary because last year was the breakout. So if anything happens this year, whether it's injury, which, it's the NHL, injuries are almost a given. Or if he just doesn't quite do the same, he'll do the same or a little bit less and still be a stud. Mm-hmm. But I'm a little bit afraid that even at $1,000, it seems like a pretty good deal, but I think odds are the price will come down a bit. Odds are, right? Unless he's got a torch again, right? So it's going to be tough to do that. So I'm a bit 50-50 on it, to be honest.
Okay, yeah. No, I could totally see that, where he's at the minimum got to repeat what he did last year.
Exactly.
Essentially. And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of players. So yeah. All right. I'm going to put up Jack Hughes. I know you're a big fan of Jack Hughes.
Yes.
And he's being drafted high as well in fantasy drafts. His Future Watch Auto PSA 10 sold last month for just over $2,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I think Jack Hughes, I was obviously on his train last year.
Yeah.
And I think last year you probably could have got the Future Watch. It was still pretty expensive, to be honest. And maybe it has to do with pop count. I didn't really check. But I think last year was definitely over $1,000 or maybe around $1,200.
Okay.
But Jack Hughes had his breakout, and if we're being honest, I think he's going all the way. Like, he's going to be like a top 10 kind of player.
Wow,
I think he's going to be what I thought Jack Eichel should have been. He's going to be on that level of A+ superstars. So 2,000, this is a problem here. I feel like 2000 is a little bit inflated. There is a bit of just like Jason Robinson, there's a bit of a coming out party hype. And if you look at hockey cards right now, most of hockey cards have kind of gone on up about 20%. Versus let's say April, May, or early in the summer. So there is a bit of preseason bump that's happening right now. So maybe right now is not the best time, but I think if Jack Hughes comes out a bit slow, let's say the first month he's just not in top 10 scoring or top 20, top 30 scoring, and you see his future watch kind of drop to 1,500-ish, I think that would be a good time to maybe pounce, because I definitely believe in Jack Hughes as a player and as a superstar.
Nice, yeah. And you're right. I think a lot of these values are generally more inflated because of the preseason hype.
Yes.
I'm looking at some of the values during the, heading into the playoffs, like March 2023, earlier this year. And the PSA 10 of Jack Hughes sold for $1,600 versus just over $2,000. So you might want to wait, unless he kills it, then it might go up. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Okay, 3. I was pretty high on this guy last season, just from a hockey standpoint. But his cards were pretty sky high last year. I think it's come down somewhat because it kind of just started super high when his card came out. I'm talking about Kirill Kaprizov, the Wild.
Yes.
His Future Watch Auto PSA 10 sold for $1,600 in July, and I'm pretty sure it sold for a lot more before then when his Future Watch Autos just came out.
Right. I like him as a star. I like him. I think he's a superstar. I'm a little worried about the market for Kaprizov. Man, because it's sad, but I would say Canadians clearly are driving the value of a lot of hockey cards. And traditionally, maybe not so much present day, but traditionally, players outside of North America, especially Russian players, there's always been sort of like this thing with Russian players, and I just feel like they're just not as marketable in Canada. And he also plays for the Minnesota Wild, who traditionally, from a brand perspective, I think people view Minnesota kind of boring. They've almost, other than recently, they've almost played their entire existence playing super defensive hockey, right?
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So Minnesota Wild is generally kind of seen as a boring club for Canadians. Yeah. So he's on a quote unquote boring team. If Minnesota folks are listening to this, they're gonna hate me because I personally think they're the number one hockey town in the United States. But and the whole Russian factor, I think there is room for that card to come down. But is he a stud? Do I think he's a superstar? Yes, I do, absolutely. But Russians are very hard for cards to spike outside of obviously Ovechkin because of what he, what he's about to do. But yeah.
Okay.
I'd be a little bit cautious with Kaprizov.
All right, good advice. I looked at his values February of 2023. It sold for just over 2,400 then. So it's come down to 1,600.
That was that early release hype.
Right.
PSA 10s were first rolling in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's definitely dropped since then. Well, you kind of mentioned his name. The other Russian that people are willing to pay up for, Alexander Ovechkin. I didn't use his PSA 10 value because they're 5 figures by now and not a lot of people will be able to afford it. But if you look at his Future Watch Auto PSA 9, which I have been, it last sold earlier this month for $6,100 US. And why I wanted to bring him up is we were talking about this just right before we started recording. He's going to potentially beat the all-time goals record. Probably not this season. I think we calculated that he's 72 goals away behind Gretzky, who has 894. Ovechkin currently has 822. So if he has 2 full healthy seasons, he's been averaging still 35 to 40 goals per season. He should be able to do it next year. You think this might be a good time to maybe scoop him up if you think that's going to happen? Do you think he's going to play for 2 years? Do you think he's going to be healthy enough? Obviously, all those things, all those questions need to be asked. What do you think?
Right. For me, barring catastrophic injury, career-ending injury, I think he's going to hit it, man. Gretzky was my boyhood hockey idol, and I hate to think that someone's going to break it, but I mean, Ovi is probably going to go down as the greatest Russian hockey player of all time, if not already. And I'm fairly certain he's gonna break it. That guy, he doesn't get it. Number one, he's like LeBron. He doesn't get injured.
Right.
He still plays like light. His shot is still lights out. I think he's still gonna score 35, 40 goals this season. So he should have and I'm pretty sure he's gonna play more than 2 years. Again, barring some kind of catastrophic injuries. So, is it the right time to start getting into Ovi? I think so. I think he had a year and a half ago, kind of during the COVID hype, that whole narrative behind him breaking the record was pretty high, and his card skyrocketed, and it's corrected quite a bit since. I mean, like any card, and I think it's the right time now because we're probably under 24 months from seeing that record being broken. So there is an opportunity here for some volatility. And while I say that, I think we're getting close, even in general, we're getting close to Ovechkin and Crosby's, the end of their careers. We're maybe 3 years out, maybe 4 at the max. So in the next little while, I think Ovi, there's a little bit more pressure to pick something up now because he's probably within 24 months of a little bit of volatility. But both of these guys, I think, before the career is done, those are some rookie cards that you should be scooping up because I think they'll both go down as some of the greatest hockey players of all time.
Yeah, I'm tempted, man. The only thing that's stopping me is when I kind of like a couple years after I just got back into the hobby, I was going to get like a BGS 9.5 Ovechkin Future Watch Auto.
She told this
story. It went for $700. I'm like, damn, that's so expensive.
Gosh. Yeah.
BGS 9.5. Now it's like, 7-8K. So yeah, I wish I could go back in time and just buy whatever I wanted at that point.
Yeah. My brother a long time ago picked up like a PSA 10 Connor McDavid, kind of like a base rookie card. I think he bought off some guy on KGG for like $400 or $500.
Right.
And they're chatting between each other. He goes, "Yeah, I'm like a big McDavid collector," and he was talking about his regrets. And he was saying how I had McDavid early on, and I sold his Future Watch Auto PSA 10 for $1,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think when it first came out, way back in the day.
Yeah. Wow. That kind of hurts.
Yeah, it's painful.
Man. Okay. I'm tempted to get back in. We'll see if I can find a good deal. I'm just looking at active NHL hockey players. And there's no one close that could, if Ovi breaks the record, who could ever break that record? Do you think there's anyone? McDavid?
It's gonna. I mean, to be honest, most of Gretzky's records, I think when he set them, most people thought no one is ever touching these records, right? And here's Ovi about to touch that record, right? So, is somebody else? Does they have a chance? I don't know. That's gonna be. Maybe McDavid. He's scoring like 60 goals a year.
He has 303 goals right now.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
So he has to have a long career. That's the one factor that you can't really control, right?
Right.
But yeah, number 2 on the list is your boy Sidney Crosby with 550 goals of active players. And number 3, do you know who it is? Canadian, Newmarket.
3. Oh, Newmarket.
Or is he Markham? He might be Markham. He's York region, though.
Oh, Stamkos?
Yeah, Steven Stamkos with 515.
Yeah.
And rounding out the top 5, number 4 is Evgeny Malkin, 471. And number 5 is Eric Stahl, 455.
Oh, wow. Eric Stahl.
Yeah. So, that's Ovi's in his own tier right now in terms of number of goals.
For sure.
Okay. I have a couple more. Cale Makar. I wanted to choose him because, we always talk about defensemen, whether they have value. If you look on fantasy drafts, he is always the number 1 defenseman off the board. His Future Watch Auto, PSA 10, sold earlier this month for $1,838. What do you think?
1,800?
Yeah, just under 2.
Right. I love Cale Makar. I think he's absolutely special. One of the, he's literally a slick forward playing in the D slot. I mean, that's what you like to see in that spot, especially from a collector standpoint. I do think 1,800 might still be a bit balloon because the one thing I'm worried about, again, Cale Makar what was it? I mean, his Future Watch, his breakout year, his Future Watch must have been 3,000, 30, something like that, right? I'm sure.
Right.
And it's come down considerably. And it's not like he had was he injured? I don't think he had like a horrible season. He had a really solid season again. And I could see him having another solid season and providing, like another Stanley Cup style run, being in the back end, leading the charge for Colorado. So my worry is he's going to have another good, solid season, and it's just going to kind of go by the wayside. And I can feel the value, like some of the other guys that we just talked about earlier. I could see the value kind of coming down mid-season 20, 30%. Right. So if you're into Cale Makar, and we always talk about this, I mean, you just named a bunch of guys that are sort of in that year 1 to 3 hype range that we always been talking about. So I mean, that theory still applies for hockey, right? I think Cale Makar, Kaprizov, I think these guys are guys I would personally, if you're big on them long term, I think there's going to be an opportunity 4th, 5th year where you can pick these cards up. I bet you for 40% less than what they are right now. So, yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's just a position thing. It's like the equivalent of catchers in baseball,
right?
And defensemen in hockey, maybe it's not apples to apples, but there's just a perception that, everyone just wants forwards. In baseball, everyone just wants home run hitters. And I think that because of that, there's always a cap for defensemen. And if they don't perform year after year, you could be like an Erik Karlsson, you could be a Brent Burns. You know what I mean? Like those guys had value, tremendous value back in the day. And then there's a huge drop off, later in their careers when people just kind of forget about them, although they might be solid players, NHL players. So Cale Makar is just a young guy now, but 5, 6, 7 years from now, there'll be other hotshot defensemen I'm sure that we'll be talking about, right?
For sure. Speaking of Erik Karlsson, I wonder what his Future Watch is at, because he's with the Pittsburgh Penguins, right?
Is he now? Oh man, I've lost track of all the trades and different free agent movements, but yeah, I'm sure it's more like, I'm checking it up now. It's 325
for Future Watch.
300. Yep, for a Future Watch auto.
So there's a floor for Cale Makar if you wanted to see one.
Yeah. All right, last guy. He doesn't have a Future Watch auto yet. He doesn't have a Young Guns yet, but you can bet that he will. I'm talking about Connor Bedard, who is the favorite by Vegas to win Rookie of the Year this year at minus 140 odds. Yeah. What do you think of Bedard? When they come out, are you looking to scoop him up, or I already know this answer because I know you, John, but for the audience.
I think Connor Bedard, if you can get your hands on SP, I mean, the sad part is Connor Bedard's SP Authentic Future Watch card is probably 2 years away at this point. Just how far behind Future Watch is, crazy. Like Upper Deck is with Future Watch, which is kind of sad. But I think if you can get retail for pretty cheap, as long as retail, or hobby boxes don't go up too much, I think it'll be a fun rip to chase. And if you get it, I would probably, it's just like Victor Wembanyama. Like the hype is enormous. And me personally, like I've mentioned it before, people use the tag generational with Bedard. I'm not quite convinced there yet. I think he's going to be a stud. I think he's, like, barring again something kind of catastrophic, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He should easily win it. But do I see him on McDavid? Because McDavid is generational. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, because he's a little smaller, so I got to kind of see how But I mean, in every age group, he's dominated. So but I don't quite. I'm not fully convinced. I got to see a season first. And watch a season. He gets like 150 points, and it's too late. You lost your chance.
I'm gonna clip this from episode 160. What John just said. We'll play it in episode 180 or 190 when the season's over. All right, cool. Yeah, I appreciate that insight as always. Are there any other players that you're like I haven't mentioned that you're keeping an eye on? Maybe any other notable rookies even?
Yeah. There was hype. I mentioned this guy last year, and he is in the 1 to 3 window. So I'm going a little bit against what I say, but I think Cole Caulfield is certainly somebody to watch. I think I mentioned it before. I think he is a Rocket Richard Trophy type of player.
Yeah.
So the sort of sex appeal in collecting is there, and he was injured. He went out with a season-ending injury last year, right? So I think he could be a little bit of sleeper. I don't know what his future watch is at. I'd imagine it's probably around $1,000 at least.
Yeah,
because he was
$1,350.
Yeah, he was a chase. So I think that's a little bit expensive. But if that card were to come down to $800, $900, I think it's maybe not a bad move. And then the other one that I was actually personally trying to go for, but I'm a bit too late, is Tage Thompson.
Yeah,
his future watch. Tage Thompson was a, kind of like a top 30, top 20, top 15 kind of draft pick. Nobody really heralded him as like he's going to be a future stud. He's like a big kid with pretty good hands for USA development and Team USA. And I don't know what happened, but his confidence in the NHL, it just blossomed. It completely blossomed. And when I watch him, he is so dominant. He does anything he wants, stick handling inside a phone booth. Like I think he's he's developing into something incredibly special. And I think Buffalo has a chance to make playoffs. I think they're going to be on the up and up and become a pretty good team. So his future watch, I think it got as low as 375, 400 in the offseason. I think now probably goes around 600. So you might have missed about a little bit, but I mean, at $400 or $500, it's one of these, like, you can kind of throw a bit of money into it. And I could see that card going up to $800, $900, $1,000.
Yeah, you're right. It's just under 700s at 685 last sold this month.
Right.
So it's gone up a bit.
I really wanted to pick it up around 400, and I just didn't pull the trigger. Kind of regret it because I think he's got the chance to score 50 goals.
Damn, you should have. I feel like you have a good track record of cards you pick.
Hockey cards.
You got Kachuk last time, right? Brady Kachuk. Nice. Yeah, just tell me next time what you want to pull the trigger. I'll do it for you, and I'll reap the rewards. All right, and one last guy. We were talking about this off air too. Austin Matthews, the homer pick.
Austin Matthews.
Only reason why I bring it up because when we go to the Sports Card Expo here in Toronto, of course they always jack up the price because we're all Toronto Maple Leafs fans, and I'm seeing them regularly go for 10K Canadian, so maybe 8.75, 8 US, and now it's down to like 5,200, for PSA 10.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews didn't have the best year last year. He was injured on and off. What do you think about Matthews as a rebound candidate?
I think 100% he is a rebound candidate. I think his future watch, because of the Toronto market, it's still so high. Yeah. Because I personally, skill wise and potential point production, I put him at like Nathan McKinnon level. I think they're that sort of A+, just a little notch below generational. I think they're like right in that wheelhouse for some of the old heads, kind of like the Joe Sakic, Steve Eisman, like that sort of wheelhouse.
Right, yeah.
And like Nathan McKinnon's future watch, and he's been pumping numbers. I think his PSA 10, I don't think a PSA 10 has sold in a while, but I think it goes for like 22, 25. And to see, him and Draisaitl, again, Draisaitl is another one kind of in that same ballpark.
Yeah.
Why is Austin Matthews $5,000? Like, I think that's, it's a little bit too ballooned because of the Toronto market. But
Toronto market, yeah.
With that being said, I think he is 100% a candidate for a bounce back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tempting as a Maple Leafs fan, but you're right. McKinnon last sold for just over 2,000 actually in May of 2023 for his PSA 10.
And by the way, McKinnon, I think Jonathan Drouin just joined Colorado.
Yeah.
His old Mooseheads teammate. So who knows, man? There could be some connect. I always loved Jonathan Drouin. I just don't know what happened to him as an NHL player. He lost a lot of confidence. Right. His development was, maybe Montreal and where did he get drafted? Tampa Bay. Like, I think they kind of screwed up his development a bit, but who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe Jonathan Drouin comes from worthless, as a collection standpoint to some value. So maybe there's a little shot in the dark there. But I think McKinnon for sure is set to have a monster season.
I only see raw Jonathan Drouin Future Watch autos.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No one's graded Jonathan Drouin 2014, 2015, and you could get it for $20. I think that's a good deal. $20 for a raw. Yeah.
Is it $20 Future Watch?
$20.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
Might have to pick it up at the next Sports Card Expo if I see it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. We'll see how the season goes. And I know we always get the comment periodically that we don't do enough hockey, especially as three Canadians hosting a sports card podcast. But there you go. We'll do the next one maybe when the season starts. Okay, let's go on to our next segment we call Quiz Show. All right, so I love doing these quiz shows because I'm always the host, and it's always fun to see how many answers you can get. And I think we did an Ask ChatGPT segment. It was kind of like quiz show where Hyung had to answer the questions.
I heard that one, yeah.
Hyung's like, I gotta be the host next time, so I don't look so much like an idiot. I try to answer all these questions, and I'm like, okay, I'll be the idiot next time. But today, John, you're back in the hot seat.
Oh God!
And the quiz show question of the day of the episode is: what are the top 10 most expensive cards of current MLB active players? Okay, so active Major League Baseball players, the top 10 most expensive cards sold.
Top 10 most expensive cards sold. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike Trout, number 1.
Mike Trout, number 1, $3.84 million for the Superfractor, right?
Okay. I have to think Shohei, number 2.
Shohei's not number 2, but he is on the list. He's number 7.
Number 7. Holy. Okay.
$312,000 for what I believe it was his red refractor.
Okay.
Bowman Chrome.
Okay. Juan Soto, I assume, is up there.
Juan Soto, number 8, with his, what was it? Let's see. And, not surprisingly, all of them are their first Bowman Chrome autos.
For sure.
Rare parallels, right?
Yeah.
But, Juan Soto's orange refractor, jersey numbered 22, yeah. Right. So $300K.
I don't follow Acuna as much. I can't remember if he had multi-100,000. I have to assume Acuna, he's got to be there.
Acuna, number 5, his red refractor, $361,000. Yep.
Then Tatis has to be up there.
Number 10, $241,000.
Just barely. Okay.
Yeah, you're doing well.
I'm pretty sure there was a Bowman first red Vladdy that went for big money, so I'm going to say Vladdy.
Number 2, $552,000.
Okay, nice.
Bang on, red.
Yeah.
So let's recap. You got 1, Mike Trout, 2, Vlad Guerrero, 5, Ronald Acuna, 7, Shohei, Juan Soto, 8, and Fernando Tatis, 10. So you're missing number 3, number 4, number 6, and number 9. So you're halfway there. Okay.
So what was I don't know if you said it. What was Ronald Acuna at 5? What amount was that?
$361,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So there's 2 more above 300,000.
Yes.
Current active.
Mm-hmm.
Wander Franco, Superfractor.
No, he does not make the top 10. Yeah.
No way. How much? Wasn't it Shine 150? I could have sworn he paid a lot of money for that.
He might be 11 or 12. I think, yeah, he's just outside the top 10.
Okay. Yikes. 3, 4. I have a feeling it's going to be something stupid like Jason Dominguez or something like that.
Jason Dominguez, number 3, $474,000. His Superfractor, Bowman Chrome.
Okay.
Yes. There you go.
Jason Dominguez. And then
his teammate.
Oh, what? Oh, Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge, number 6, $324,000 for his Superfractor. So Dominguez Superfractor sold for $150,000 more than Aaron Judge's.
Holy cow! So what do we have left? Number 4 and
number 9. 2 left. Yeah.
Number 4, number 9. I feel like there's a Baltimore Oriole in there. Adley Rutschman? No.
There is a one newer guy,
Okay.
rookie last year, and one relatively older guy, like Mike Trout era.
Right. Oh, this is the older guys are going to get tough. This is where I need Hyung's help.
He has a huge contract. Think of guys that signed a huge contract.
Yeah. Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper, $432,000. Yep.
He's number 9. Oh, he's number 4.
Number 4.
So number 9 is a young guy.
Is last year's rookie. Yeah.
Oh, J-Rod.
You got it. There you go. 276. Not bad.
With the help of a lot of clues.
No. This was your best quiz show effort, I think.
100%. I think prior to this, I haven't got not even one answer right.
Yeah. No, you got at least 7 on your own there, and then 3 with some clues. So there you go.
Thanks, man.
I'll think of a prize for you next week. All right. Okay, let's go on to the last segment of the show. We call Pick One. And this is where both John and I in this episode will choose 2 cards, and then we'll debate which one we would rather invest in. All right. So since Hyung's not here, John, do you want to start things off?
Yep. So we're going to go, I'm going to mix, this is completely random, but I thought I set this up thinking you and Hyung were both going to be here, but it works perfectly because this was mainly targeted at you.
All right.
So we're going to go Connor McDavid, Future Watch Auto BGS 95.
Wow. Okay.
Last sold for just above 13,000.
Okay.
And think about obviously where the market we're in and the price.
Yeah.
And then versus Topps Chrome rookie refractor Steph Curry BGS 95 at 18,000. So Steph Curry refractor Topps Chrome at 18,000 versus McDavid Future Watch, and both BGS 95 by the way, at 13,000. I think normally it's a very easy answer. I know which one would be the easy, but I will say the price point and where we are geographically, perhaps will tickle you a little bit more.
I love both those cards. If I had all the money in the world, they would both be mine.
Yeah. And that's why the question's for you.
And the Steph Curry Topps Chrome Refractor is numbered to 500, if I'm correct.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And of course, the Future Watch is numbered to 999.
Yep.
Both BGS 95, 13,000 versus 18.
13,000 versus 18.
Man, you know what? Like I want to add, like I'm always looking to add one more Grail card, and I'm always toggling between if there's a good McDavid in my budget to pick up, and if there's a good Steph Curry. So this is kind of like I always see like on Golden, on PWCC, eBay. If any of those cards come up within my maybe 5K or 6 that I could pull the trigger on, then I would. So I'm always looking for both these kind of cards. But I find myself always leaning towards McDavid because of the autograph, right? And it's kind of in to a lesser degree what we talked about when we're off the top. We're saying the Retrofractor is like it's not really a big deal unless this is the Johnny Bench auto. It kind of adds something nice to it, and I think that alone could retain some value. Whereas, sure, Steph Curry, the Topps Chrome Refractor will hold value over time because it's Steph Curry. But I would almost still wish it had an autograph. You know what I mean? So, and the McDavid's a generational player like we talked about in our previous segment. So, I'm going with McDavid because I think the auto is nice, on-card auto. It is numbered, generational player.
Yeah.
So I think the auto is what kind of tips the scale at me for me, and it's $5,000 cheaper.
Right. Ooh, I got you. I thought it would be for both you and Hung. I thought it was going to be a very easy Steph Curry, so I kind of had to juice it up a bit. But
last year it would have been that answer, I think.
Yeah.
But this year, with the market, I'm like, I need something extra, like the autograph. It's like I look for those cards first now.
So for American listeners, I think every one of them is going to be screaming Steph Curry, like without a doubt, right?
Right.
Canadian listeners, probably every one of them are going to be screaming McDavid. So this is a very divisive, 1v1. But I go back and forth on this too. I think there's a lot of reasons for both. Like the Steph Curry is a basketball fan's grail. Like who doesn't like
True.
Steph Curry? Topps Chrome Refractor. This was a card that was in the multi-thousands of dollars back in the day. I don't know what it went all the way up to, like the BGS 95, 80 grand, or like the ceiling, it was sky high on this card.
True.
So I get that part. I think the pop count is probably super low. And then on the flip side, the McDavid card in the Hockey World Future Watch, there is the cup patch autos that go for a lot of money. But in the Hockey World, like the Future Watch is considered like, this is the card. If you're going to collect one card, rookie card of a player in the NHL, you're going for the Future Watch. It's like the grail of the grail, right? I think Steph Curry, once you get into gold refractors, it starts to compete with like national treasures and stuff like that. So is it the grail? It is, but it's not the peak, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So it's still tough. I think I'm with you. If we had the opportunity, I would 100% want both, like equally.
Yeah.
I am going to give the shout out to the a little bit biased to our Canadians, our brotherhood.
Oh, Canada.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and because we don't, both of us, we don't get the opportunity to go to the national too much. We always go to the Expo in Toronto.
Yeah.
The McDavid, even though it's thousands of dollars, it trades like water. So I think, I think because of the price point and just the sheer liquidity and how much it's in demand when you walk into the Expo, I give the slight edge. And this is just because we live in Canada. I give the edge to McDavid.
There you go. McDavid sweep.
Yep.
And all our American listeners tuned out 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, they already turned it off.
And you're right. Wow. The Topps Chrome Refractor numbered to 500 of Steph Curry, BGS 95 at its peak sold for $93,000. Which is insane.
Yeah.
All right. I hope our American listeners that are still listening really like hockey, because this is a hockey themed episode, and my 1v1, my pick one, are both hockey cards. Okay. And this is just for you, John. So it worked out that Hyung's taking a break today, or he's actually playing in a men's league game semifinals. So hopefully he did well. But back to the pick one. On one side, you got the 2019-2020 chronology dual autograph card of Sidney, Crosby, and Mario Lemieux, both on card auto, numbered to 25.
Amazing.
Raw.
Yeah.
$1,500. Okay. Versus the 2019-2020, same year, the SP Authentic Sign of the Times dual auto on card of McDavid and Gretzky. Raw, numbered to 25 as well, for 4 times the Crosby Lemieux amount, $6,000. Which one are you taking?
Oh man. I got very close to getting a card before, and I mentioned it in a previous podcast. I was like really, really close. We were down to like the nickel and diming, and it just it last minute kind of just blew up, and it didn't happen. Not for anybody's fault. It's just one of those things that the seller kind of lost interest last minute. But I was close to picking up the McDavid. Speaking of chronology, the McDavid chronology, McDavid Gretzky auto, right?
Nice.
So I do have a bit of, this is tough because I think for me, I think Mario Lemieux has gone down as one of the most underrated generational stars across almost any sport. Like if Mario Lemieux, as much as I am a Wayne Gretzky fan, I am Team Gretzky, but I did love Mario Lemieux. I didn't not like Mario. I loved him too. Yeah. And if it wasn't for his illness of getting the cancer diagnosis and stuff, Hodgkin's, and taking years off, he would have been close to breaking a lot. Like I think he would have broken the goal record. And he was scoring I think he would have broke the single season record. I don't know what Gretzky had it at 200 points or 212 points. I think Lemieux had a good chance at breaking that. So Lemieux is one of these guys that I think certain fans, especially big Lemieux fans, they kind of view him as the best player of all time, both skill and stat wise, and Stanley Cups, et cetera, et cetera. But This is tough because you're talking Lemieux, Crosby, who I think is going to go top 5 all time.
Right.
And then you got Gretzky and McDavid. McDavid has a chance to, I mean, if his trajectory says anything, I think he's going to walk into top 3 all time by, you know, when all is said and done, barring injuries. So
yeah,
I have to, even though it is 4 times the price, I had some nice Sidney Crosby cards, and they don't, unfortunately, Lemieux and Sidney Crosby don't move as well
right,
as the latter. Like Gretzky is Gretzky, and then McDavid is, we know that that's just liquid gold. Anything McDavid is kind of liquid gold. So even though it is 4 times the price, I think Gretzky, McDavid auto, just how intensely popular McDavid. Like McDavid is on the Luka, Otani, like he's in that spectrum in the hockey world. He is as popular as it gets. And then you're talking about Gretzky, the you know, the great one, the GOAT. So yeah, it's an easy one for me. Even at 4 times the price, it's McDavid, Gretzky. Because when you present that card to somebody, people see that as a Grail card, and I think it's a high value, high desired piece of card.
So for 6K, wow, okay. Yeah. I while you're talking, I was looking up the chronology, so make it a little bit more apples to apples.
Right.
I haven't seen one sold recently, but there is one listed, the 2019-2020 chronology of McDavid and Gretzky.
I've been following. Yeah.
Okay, so you know it's listed for 9K.
Yeah.
Or best offer. So let's say he goes for 8K. Would you still go for that?
I think, to be honest, I think the fair market value, because I know of the guy that I almost got it off of, he actually bought a second one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he probably paid around 4,500 USD for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's it's not bad. Probably about 3 times the Crosby.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful card.
Wow. Oh, it's awesome. That's the one I want. But yeah, I don't have the money for it. I would have loved to have traded for it, but yeah, it is what it is.
A Grail card to work towards for the future. All right. Thanks again to all our listeners for tuning into another episode of Cards to the Moon. We appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this episode, we appreciate it if you gave us 5 stars. And we'll be back with a brand new episode on Friday, I believe, or next week. We'll see. Okay. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.